Hello and welcome to English for Journalists and Writers classes. We say that the way you communicate determines the way the audience is going to understand whatever you're talking about. That's why yesterday we are talking about a comma. And we say that where you place a comma in a sentence is likely to give that particular sentence a totally different meaning. So you must be very keen whenever you are placing a comma in a sentence because a comma communicates a lot. But today we are going to discuss about what we call active and passive voice. What is an active and passive voice way of communication? And to begin with, we are going to discuss about active voice. How do you form a sentence in an active voice? Or else how do you form a verb in an active voice? And we say that a verb is in an active form if the subject does something. A verb is in active voice if the subject does something. It means when you're writing a sentence in an active voice, the subject comes before the verb. Or else the subject does something to the object. The object is being done something by the verb. That's why you say that the verb is in an active voice, which means it takes the format of subject, verb, object. Which means subject always appears at the beginning, followed by a verb, then object comes at the end. This is the time we say that the verb is an active voice because the subject is doing something to the object. The subject is doing something to the object. Now, for example, she ate mango. She is our subject, ate is our verb, mangoes is our object. So, she is doing something to the object. So, she is eating the mango. That's why I say that our verb is in active voice because the subject is doing something to the object. Or else, I play hockey. So, I is the subject, play is the verb, hockey is the object. So I is doing something to the hockey. The subject is doing something to the object. That's the time we say that the verb is in active voice. Or else you may say, he will buy this house. He will buy this house. So he is the subject, buy is the verb, house is the object. So he is going to do something to the object. That's the time we say that the verb is in an active voice. Now let's look at passive voice of communication, or passive way of communication. And you're going to find that when writing a news story, in most cases, we write news story by use of active voice because active voice shows urgency or else currency of the story. The story is talking about now, timeliness. We talked about timeliness as one of the elements of a news story. But if you write a story in passive voice, it becomes tales, unless it looks as if the story is very old. That's why we normally write our news stories by use of active verbs, not passive verbs. So what is a passive voice? A verb is in passive when something is done to its subject. When something is done to its subject. So it is the vice versa of the active voice. We say that in active voice, subject is followed by the verb, a verb is followed by the object. But now the contrary takes place or else occurs in passive voice. And in passive voice, it is object, verb, subject. Now the vice versa. The object comes at the beginning of the sentence, not at the end of the sentence. So you're saying that a verb is in passive form when something is done to its subject. For example, instead of saying I play hockey, you say hockey is played by me. Instead of saying I play hockey, you say hockey is played by me. Whereas instead of saying he will buy this house in active form, now we are changing this sentence into the passive form. The sentence will become this house will be bought by him. This house will be bought by him. Or else when you're talking about she ate mango, for example, in our first example here, she ate mango. This is an active form of the sentence. Now when you want to transform it into the passive form, it's going to become mangoes were eaten by her. Mangoes were eaten by her. So when you're writing a sentence in passive form, you are saying that something is done to the subject. Something is done to the subject of that particular sentence. By the time you are going to say that your sentence is in passive form. So I hope you are able to contextualize and understand the difference between active voice of communication and passive voice of communication. We say that in the active form, it takes the format of subject, verb, object. Subject, verb, object. But now you are translating your sentence from active voice to passive voice, it changes to object, verb, subject. OVS. I hope you'll be able to apply this knowledge in your real life situation or else in your journalistic field or journalistic industry. Let's meet next time at the same place. Thank you.